If you guys have been following the channel for a bit of time, then you would know that Axelar is one of those top projects that I've talked about for quite some time now. And it's one of those projects that I foresee being a very big winner this cycle because, again, there's so much happening around the Axelar ecosystem, a lot of growth as well. And it might not seem like that when you look at the price chart because we are dipping back down to those April all-time lows. And you might be questioning, like, what the hell is going on here? I thought that Axelar was going to be this big gem, and it seems as though it's just getting completely wiped off the board. But I want you guys to realize that that's typical price action right before the biggest moves happen. And right now, the biggest move that's happening, or at least that we're expecting, is alt season. Now, just taking a quick look at the Axelar chart, let's just go back here to 2023 all the way into about roughly the end of 2023 when it looked like Axelar was just going to zero before the big spike happened. I do suspect that that's going to be kind of similar to where we're at now, where it almost feels as if Axelar is going to just continue just selling off, going to a new all-time low. We're not going to see a big bounce at all. And then this is where we start to see the impulse. I don't think that it's going to take too much longer now for a lot of these altcoins like Axelar to really bounce off the lows. And it really just goes with saying that we need to see Bitcoin and Ethereum also kind of pull, some, crazy moves out of its hat because we still need to see a big impulse move on those charts as well. But right now, this is what Axelar looks like because, again, if we're thinking about just looking at some of these altcoin charts, the number one thing to be aware of is the RSI. All right. Again, we go back to Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin and Ethereum, in my opinion, look as though they're close to their bottom on this recent move. If not, they could be fully bottomed out on this recent move. It's just questionable on if that's going to hold or not, especially with the weekly close being today. We have to be very careful of some of these altcoin charts and some of, the charts around Bitcoin and even Ethereum. But the main thing that I'm looking at when it comes to Axelar is looking at the weekly chart, addressing where we're at right now, price action wise, which, we're hovering right around those lows going back to April where we closed out on the weekly. And it's looking as if we could potentially see a new all-time low on Axel. But I'm also looking at RSI because we did break down through the moving average here, which is that yellow line. And we're now at about roughly 40 on this chart. Now, this is technically an oversold area, but it's still around the neutral territory. So it's the beginning stages of oversold. So we could still see a little bit more pain here on Axel, and it's questionable on how low we go here on this RSI move. The main thing that I'm looking at is potential levels in which we bottomed out on during like 2024, for an example. If we're thinking about 2024, I'm looking at the mid-range of around like 37.43%. Just 37.43 being the level in which we, kind of dip down to before we start to see a big bounce on the RSI for Axel, which should also lead to a big bounce on the actual price of Axel as well. So again, we're just being very cautious here. We're still looking at, the chart where we could see an impulse move. I would be hopeful for a big impulse move somewhere around these lows of April, and we're basically there. So we need to watch this, especially going into the new week, just kind of see how Axel performs and see if, we do get that big bounce or not. But beyond that, let's talk about a few things that just recently happened around Axel that could help it bottom out here. Number one, we just got a big update with Crypto.com. Axelar Foundation selected Crypto.com to secure institutional custody of Axel tokens. Just taking a quick look at this announcement, it's pretty straightforward, right? Partnership provides custody services for Axelar's interchain infrastructure and institutional treasury. Crypto.com today announced a strategic partnership with Axelar Foundation to provide secure custody support for Axel, the native token of the Axelar network. The collaboration will enhance Axelar Foundation's treasury management and deliver institutional-grade custody, supporting assets reserved for validator incentives, ecosystem grants, and network operations. Through this integration, Axelar Foundation will manage Axel holdings using Crypto.com custody's secure infrastructure. The platform enables streamlined workflows for staking, funding, and reserve management while supporting the growth of Axelar's cross-chain ecosystem with robust security and compliance controls. Crypto.com custody offers custody services to eligible institutions and high net worth clients through a comprehensive end-to-end solution with safety and security at its core. Institutional custody is a critical component of any digital asset strategy. We're honored to support Axelar with secure infrastructure that meets the highest standards of compliance and operational integrity. And Axelar is the gateway to on-chain finance, connecting blockchains and financial institutions. For tokenization, trading, and yield, Axel, the network's native token, secures new blockchain connections and sustains validator incentives through a non-inflationary model. As adoption grows, Axel aligns network security and liquidity consolidation, supporting Axelar's role as trusted infrastructure for institutional-grade finance. Institutions need infrastructure that makes tokenization, trading, and yield seamless across blockchains. Axelar shortens time to market with a scalable and configurable platform so institutions can capture opportunities across global markets. As they emerge, we are pleased to work with Crypto.com on custody that supports Axelar and on-chain finance. And we've been seeing quite a bit of adoption around Crypto.com, so I do think that this is great for some, possible exposure with Axelar and, of course, Crypto.com. So we're definitely focused on this. Some of those big players tied back to Crypto.com could soon be tied back to Axel, and I just think that this is a great move for the entire Axelar ecosystem. Now, on top of that, we also got a big update from Hess. Now we have here the total transferred volume through Axelar GMP has reached $5.2 billion processed in 3.1 million transactions by nearly 800,000 unique addresses. And if we look into this, we can see the big update. I mean, since the beginning of the year, this has been in a little bit of a downtrend on the weekly volume, but hey, it is still $5.2 billion worth of volume. Now, Axelar GMP, or general message passing, lets smart contracts on different chains communicate directly. It's not just token transfers. Developers can send any data or function calls cross-chain, enabling apps on one chain to trigger actions on another. And here we have, just kind of how this would look. And then down here we have since January of 2023, GMP transactions have grown week by week, peaking at nearly 50,000 in a single week. So far, over 3.1 million transactions have been recorded through Axelar GMP, with an average transfer size of 6.2K or $6,200, almost $6,300. Axelar GMP has seen nearly 800,000 unique senders transferring across 81 chains in recent weeks. The weekly number of senders have averaged between 5K and 10K as well. In recent weeks, total transferred volume via Axelar GMP has crossed $5 billion with an average transfer of 1.9K and a max of 8.5 million. Weekly volume has averaged about 40 to 60 million, peaking at 80 million. To date, the total transferred volume stands at about 5.2 billion. In the past 30 days, nearly 11.6K new addresses used Axelar GMP for the first time. Since January of this year, a total of 150,000 new addresses have interacted with Axelar GMP. In the past 30 days, about 34% of transferred volume came from new addresses, while 66% came from returning ones. Address breakdown shows that 65% of users have transferred more than $10 as well. Axelar GMP is becoming the backbone of cross-chain interoperability with millions of transactions, billions in volume, and steady growth in users across 80-plus chains. It is emerging as core infrastructure for connecting ecosystems and enabling cross-chain apps as well. So yeah, I mean, I do agree. I think that the adoption right now around Axelar is starting to pick up in a big way. Yes, there's still things that are showing us, listen, Axelar is starting to see, I would say, I don't want to call it consequences, but it's basically the effect of altcoins having this major downtrend over the last roughly 8 months or so. Because again, since roughly January of this year, most of these altcoins are down significantly. Most of them never actually got back to their recent highs. So if we're thinking about that, yes, most of the space is a little bit boring. So use of these networks is going to drop off a bit. But we could see that obviously on the chart as well. I mean, even going back to 2024, we know that Axelar peaked back in roughly March of 2024 in terms of price. We could see that even here on the chart. And if we're thinking about that, that's where GMP also did spike up back in 2024. Then towards the end of 2025, where Axelar also, let's go back here, Axelar also did peak back around like roughly December. We could see that on the chart as well. So again, this is why when we look at some of these things on these networks, yes, the growth is a little bit down, but that's because we just simply haven't, seen a lot of these altcoins move in a significant way, and the market kind of, I would say the market has been a little bit boring since going back to around roughly January as well. So I do think that a lot of these networks will see increased adoption and increased, growth in general once we start to see the market bounce back in a big way. Now, beyond that, we do know that Axelar is headed to XRP Seoul 2025. This is going to be great. And we did hear from Georgios, and we have Axelar is live on XRP Ledger, and we've got a huge new product dropping. I'll be announcing it on stage at the event, and this event is going to be definitely one to lock into if you hold either, Axelar or even XRP. It's going to be a great event. We can see the breakdown here of when it is. It's on September 21st. So it seems as though we are about to witness a big update from the Axelar team. I'm excited to see what this could possibly be, because it is going to be, right around the time frame of a lot of these altcoins really bouncing back, in my opinion, and the market bouncing back, especially after the Fed meeting. So I'm definitely locked in on this. And also, when we think about XRP and Axelar, what better event for us to look into than XRP Seoul, because Axelar is that main connector with XRP that connects it to 80 plus blockchains via Axelar. XRP liquidity now flows into DeFi, stablecoins, and RWAs. And we can see the breakdown a little bit from stake. And we have, for years, the XRP ledger has been known for payments. Now it's plugged into 80 plus blockchains via Axelar. And this is the Axelar value, right? This is the main bread and butter of Axelar, if you will, and what makes it a very sought after project in this space. And this is why I've always said that Axelar will be, a very large player in this space as well. But on June 30th, the XRP Ledger EVM sidechain launched, opening XRP to DeFi, stablecoins, and RWAs. Let's unpack what changes from here. So the XRP Ledger has 6 million plus wallets, a decade of uptime, and a reputation for reliability. But until now, it was cut off from the broader DeFi world. With EVM plus Axelar connectivity, XRP liquidity and apps can finally flow across chains without leaving XRP Ledger behind. The XRP Ledger EVM sidechain is built for scale, fast and secure, connected via Axelar 80 plus blockchains. XRP has the native gas token integrated with Squid for simple cross-chain transfers. Multi-chain is live from day one as well. For developers, this means 6 million plus XRP Ledger wallets ready to tap in. Low fees and fast finality, XRP Power and Gas, a trusted validator network, institutional friendly infrastructure, and then also DeFi apps. DeFi apps are already moving in. Early partners, Strobe, money markets, lending and borrowing, secured yield from collateralized, leveraged, and then also Vertex, derivatives, and capital efficiency. The XRP Ledger is already known for stablecoins and tokenized value, or tokenized assets. Now with EVM compatibility plus Axelar cross-chain, those institutional grade features meet global liquidity and multi-chain DeFi. And, if you think that Axelar is only doing this with XRP, you're wrong. There's so many chains that are tied back to Axelar that are also seeing the same increased, connectivity in the space. That's going to open up a ton of possibilities around DeFi, around stablecoins, around pretty much everything. And even talking about stablecoins, right? When we think about Axelar, Axelar is also a key piece of the stablecoin puzzle, because what it does for stablecoins is it really opens up the door for those stablecoins to move across all these networks as well. And they did tell us that back on August 30th, right? They said for stablecoins to power global payments, they can't be stuck on a single chain. That's why Axelar's interchain token service makes it simple, launch, manage, and expand across many networks. And you can see that on this image. And that's why when we go back to even the crypto.com announcement, right, this is that, custody service for Axelar's infrastructure, right? The interchain infrastructure, but also even the institutional treasury. But this is so crucial for this, because this is going to allow Axelar to tap into the almost $300 billion stablecoin market, which continues to grow more and more and more. There's so many holders of stablecoins at this point. The monthly transfer volume just continues to surge more and more as well. And when we think about this, Axelar is becoming a key piece of this, but it's also a key piece of the entire DeFi world. It's a key piece for XRP. It's a key piece for all of these big networks that, when we think about how big these networks are, it's hard not to think that Axelar is also going to be in the same category. So even though Axelar is still hovering around all-time lows and the chart looks grim, I want you guys to realize the value that Axelar still holds. Nothing changed at all with Axelar. It's just the fact that, yeah, we are seeing a wipeout of the altcoin market. It's very clear. It's very simple to look at as well. I mean, we need to see a big bounce on Bitcoin. We still need to see a big bounce on Ethereum. We want to see the market wake up, and we're not going to see that until we see Bitcoin and Ethereum break out. And I know that that sounds horrible to hear because, again, we're locked in on Axelar. Why can't Axel decouple away from Bitcoin and Ethereum? Well, it's simply because of dominance, right? So again, we still need to focus on Bitcoin. We still need to focus on Ethereum if we're just locked in on the price chart. I would say the best thing to do at this time is focus on the fundamentals. And Axelar has every single key piece tied to it. They are making a ton of moves happening around this space as well. Some of these moves, like the one with crypto.com, it's definitely a big one, and it definitely puts a lot of eyes on Axelar as well. So I'm definitely looking at that. I'm focused on it. And I think everyone in this space should be locked in on projects like this that are seeing, significant sell pressure. They're at levels that we saw back in April where the market bottomed out completely, because these could definitely be very big opportunities for maximum ROI. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, this has been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.